Hey guys, this is just a surprise one-off mini bonus episode that we've decided to release to all of our listeners. This is typically stuff that we reserve for our patrons who got this a few days ago, but we decided that this was in the general public interest, so it might be good to push out to everyone. So, my buddy Kevin got vaccinated against COVID in the USA, and since neither he nor his Thai wife have been back in Thailand for nearly 2 years now, they booked their tickets and landed in Bangkok just a few days ago. So I thought it'd be interesting to check in with him about what his experience was like and get his thoughts on the whole process. So here's a mini bonus episode with my buddy Kevin Revelinsky about what it took to get to Thailand in the middle of a pandemic. All right, Kevin. Well, welcome to your first time on the Bangkok podcast, and welcome back to Bangkok. It's been a while.
It has been a while. It's been over 2 years, actually.
You usually come back about once a year, right?
Yeah, we try to once or twice a year.
Right.
It's a little more complicated with vacation time and work and pandemics, apparently. Turns out.
Tends to throw a monkey in the wrench.
Sure did.
Yeah. But, it's funny because I've heard a lot of people talk about how it's going to take years and years and years for Thailand to recover, and it may very well might. But there are also a lot of people out there like yourself who really want to get back here ASAP.
Yeah, forcing it, as it were.
And you've done it. Of course, you're married and your wife is Thai and her mom lives in Bangkok, so you have a reason to get here. But there's also a lot of people who just want to. This is their vacation spot. It's their second home, and they really want to come back. But so as soon as you were vaccinated in the States, you got on the internet and you were like, tickets to Thailand. And
exactly.
So, can you walk us through a little bit of that? Like, what was it like getting vaccinated in America? Not too many details because we're sort of really jealous of them right now.
Yeah, right.
But then what was it like getting here? Let's get into that.
Getting the vax, it varied by state. Wisconsin was pretty good about getting it out. A lot of people, they did all the old people first. They staggered it, and then it kind of got messy. Like you could go to Walgreens, to the drugstore, to get shots, but they said there'd be overages and people were signing up for things or sitting there refreshing screens to find appointments or driving an hour and a half away.
Right.
Which was, kind of encouraging because it meant people were serious about getting it done, which is no longer probably the case. I think that's kind of flattening out now. The people who wanted it have gotten it or gotten started on it. So we'll see how far it goes towards, quote, herd immunity. But you need a herd. So anyway. And then as soon as we knew that we had our second shot and we'd been watching all the details about how to get here, and get the certificate of entry and all that from the consulate, we had to wait till 14 days after the second shot so that we were fully vaccinated, to have to book the flight.
Right.
And to apply for that certificate was just this long list of stuff. Your Vax card, which would shorten your quarantine stay down to 7 days, at least for us. That's no longer the case. Like all things, everything changes on a daily basis. So we were, even the requirements for getting that certificate, but every day we're like, well, is it still this? Is it still this? And we sent in everything that we could, and the next morning, Tip got her approval, and I got my rejection. Yeah, that's my wife.
You got your rejection?
Yeah. I'm like, okay, what did I do wrong? And so we're panicking as though like in the next, it's like it's an episode of 24 Hours or whatever. Like, we got to get this done right now.
Right.
Because
you're running around Madison with a map out.
Something like this, right? But they were pretty, they said it would be like 3 business days before you'd get a reply, or within 3 business days, let's say. But you had the Thai New Year. And are they going to go into the office? We don't know. There's nothing posted. And they were actually quite quick about getting back to us the next day or 2 days later. And I had messed something up. I think in my application, there's so many questions. And I put that for, like your visa status. Well, we don't need visas. We're Americans, right? Not exactly the case, or that wasn't what we needed to check. I had checked that, I'm traveling with a family of a Thai citizen. That's not that was wrong. So I had to go back and fix that, resubmit it, and wait another couple days, and then something else was wrong. And it was health insurance. You have to have that policy that covers you for at least $100,000 if you get COVID.
Okay.
And I got World Nomads because it's pretty awesome insurance, and it's what I usually get. And it clearly says that if I get sick, $100,000 is covered. And we called the consulate like, hey, did you look at this? I mean, it says that, and well, it needs to expressly say that COVID is covered. They're
Right.
like, well, it's an illness. Of course it's covered. That falls under being sick.
You're
And
like, it's implied.
right? They're not going to list every disease that's covered. If he gets the flu, if he gets typhoid,
Right. Elephantitis, though, that's the killer.
That's it. That's a pre-existing condition. No, I don't know. But the trouble was insurance companies. Somebody had been here, gotten sick, and the insurance company is like, no, we're not covering it.
Oh.
And so the Thai government's like, well, forget that then. Everybody comes with a letter that says your insurance specifically covers this. And I thought, oh my God, how am I going to get a letter from the insurance company? Like the giant insurance company is going to write me a personal letter that says, Kevin's okay to come in. He's got $100,000. Totally works for COVID. And,
yeah, usually when someone says, oh, you've got to go and talk to the insurance company, and then it's sort of, the voice sort of gets replaced by this ringing, and you start breaking down inside because you know it's going to be this epic Sisyphean struggle.
Exactly. And this was like in the evening. So we're like, well, we're out of time to run around and try to jump through holes and resubmit by the end of today. But I sent out an email or I called the hotline. They said, okay, send email to this other branch with a different name. So I'm already thinking, here it goes. The Byzantine process. It's not even called World Nomads. It's, TripMate, or it's the company that provides this element of the blah, 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 blah. So I sent an email, said what I needed, and by God, 7:30 in the morning, the next morning, I got a PDF in there. It's got everything that I needed on there, exactly mapped out, same verbiage and specific amounts and name of my policy.
Including indicating the snarky tone of voice that you implied that the insurance company was going to talk.
Exactly.
Well, that's great.
Yeah. So, and then we went through all those hoops, and then we got the certificate, and now we have to present it to the hotel, and the hotel wants all these things. You pay some money, half the fee of staying there. You go through their hoops, they come back to you, and now you take that back to the embassy. You have 15 days after that certificate is issued to fulfill everything. Book the airline that's approved, that's the flight that's also on their list, and the hotel's on their list. And we did all that, and it was all clear. And except for one thing, which is get the COVID test, a negative COVID test within 72 hours of the flight time.
Right.
Okay, shouldn't be a problem. But all the places locally in Madison were like, the ones provided by the county or the city and the Walgreens, those are all free tests. But none of them can say that, well, we guarantee that you'll get this result within, it'll be 1 to 5 days. Well, 5 days isn't going to work. So I'm like gambling. I'm not going to gamble on this whole trip. So I drove to Milwaukee, an hour and a half drive away, and booked an appointment. Cost me like $180 for this test that would be free if I'd stayed home. Meanwhile, Tip, who didn't need one because she's a Thai citizen, got one at Walgreens just to see how fast it was. And sure enough, the results arrived at the same time.
Nice.
But, again, $180 of insurance, so to speak, that I wasn't going to miss that flight.
That's $180 worth of peace of mind.
Exactly. Yeah. So we got that done and got the bus to Chicago, got on the flights. Everything went very well on the flights because there was nobody in line to check in. There was nobody in security. TSA is like, oh, it's been a while since you traveled. Let me remind you. So, yeah, the shoes. Oh, yeah, why don't you go on back through there? Oh, no, it looks like you had your drinking water in there. Go ahead back in there, drink it, and come on back through. They're all like checking their nails and stuff.
Right.
And that was great. And we got out of there and we got on a plane with 34 people.
Oh my God.
Japan Airlines from Chicago to Narita, 34 people. You didn't just have your seats to yourself. You had the entire row from window to window was open,
I flew from Bangkok to Amsterdam once on Boxing Day, and it was glorious. I had the whole road of lay, stretch out and lean back. Oh, it was wonderful.
Yeah, God, those rare gems of travel
Yeah.
stories, you know. But
So I was following your trip on online and Facebook, and I was getting a little bit nervous because while you were like literally in the air on your way to Thailand, I'm reading news like, oh yeah, that 7-day quarantine that might be bumped back up to 14 days anytime now. I'm like, oh my god.
we're circling in the air. We can't land. We can't land.
Yeah.
You got to turn this plane around. So yeah, that was a little aggravating. And we did, when we were planning this trip, we were thinking, do we go now because there's this new spike in cases, or do we wait till June maybe? Tip had to use up her vacation, which accumulated because of COVID last year. She had all these weeks, and they're like, burn them or lose them. And so they allowed her to go for an extended period instead of the usual 2 or maybe 3 weeks with special permission. America. And we thought maybe June, because it might even get better then. And we saw that there was an ad that Phuket was opening up July 1st, no tests if you got the vaccine. And we're like, oh, yeah, but no, we better get it done. Let's not take a chance. And we got in just under the wire.
So what was it like when you landed at Suvarnabhumi?
Chaos. No, frustrating. I mean, I guess we've all been an hour in immigration there, from time to time when there's too many planes arrive at the same time. Yeah. But it only takes 2 planes to arrive when you have everybody march in and sit in spaced out chairs and wait to have, attendants come through and check all your papers, that you've got these 10 different documents and everything's stapled and stamped and paper clipped together, and they take it away. They come back they give you a little number. You're tagged like cattle. You sit there and wait, and you're watching this clock. They have a clock there. It's perfect. So you can just see how long you're waiting. And there's one nurse taking temperature of each person as that person walks by, along with a person who stamps a document and another person who, I guess, looks at that stamp, shuffles the papers together, and hands them to that passenger.
Hey, that's the shuffler. Very important.
The shuffler. That's a job, man. Don't knock it. Working class. And it just took forever. And there was one point where you've got like 40 people all dolled up like hazmat suits, like this is Ebola, and there's nobody going through the line at all. And it's like, is this a break? Did they not think to perhaps have a staff that could fill in while others took a break? And I could see where people would be very angry, because I was. And we found out later what had happened is another flight with Thai citizens who came in on those flights and another flight were allowed to go through first. And I'm not bitter about that. They do that in the U.S. all the time. And I just, like, whoosh. But they're all going to state-funded quarantine hotels. They did not want those people to mix in immigration with the rest of us dirty, sick COVID people that were coming in. And so they did all of them first, processed all of them first, and then gave them some time to get through the immigration area, which was much further on down the process here.
Right.
And once they were cleared, then they started letting us through. So it took probably an hour and a quarter to get to outside immigration, suitcases and everything. And then we meet the people from the hotel who take us to a van by the river. No, they take us to a van with a hospital attendant. And my van just happened to look like Vegas inside, which was awesome.
A private van just for you guys?
Just for us, because we were the only 2 going to that hotel. And we had to sit at opposite corners of the van, which I thought was cute. We came together, and we'll be staying together, but whatever. Protocols.
That's right. It's plausible deniability.
Exactly. A straight shot to the hotel. Check-in was pretty quick, but first we talked to the hospital person. And you're going to take your temperature twice in a day, and we had to put little baggies on our shoes before we got out of the van.
Oh, yeah?
Like, really? Okay. Whatever. It's all good. And then we got to our room, and they locked us in and put a couple tables in front of the door. So,
really?
Yeah, I think that's for leaving the food. I mean, it is for leaving the food, but it looks like we're blocked in. Like a really poor attempt to keep out the killer. You know, the door opens in, right?
Yeah. It's like that Far Side comic where the kid is pushing on the pull door.
Exactly right. So yeah, we're trapped like rats on a ship here. So
So you're there for 7 days now.
7 days. Yeah.
We're recording this on Sunday afternoon, May 2nd.
This is day 3
Day 3.
of
And
captivity.
what does the average day look like for you besides staring at the wall going, please, something happened?
Well, you just described it.
Okay,
Just
fair
staring
enough.
at the wall. Now, we've got a nice view of the river. And when we were choosing hotels, we were like, wow, this one's pricey. Well, they're all pricey, but considering what you're getting all your meals, you know, their set menu, which is slightly unfortunate. But we got a river view, and there are a lot of other ones that just have probably the view of the next building. So we at least see boats going back and forth, people fishing below us. So we're having that little, like Ernie on Sesame Street, looking at the bugs in the window box, you know?
Well, a buddy of mine did the 2-week quarantine thing about I guess 5 months ago or so,
Oh,
and
God.
he could order stuff from Lazada,
Hmm.
so he ordered a telescope. That greatly increased his enjoyment of quarantine.
That's, yeah, I was thinking I should have brought the binoculars. There's actually a patch of green next to the hotel that has some bird life in it. For a burger, it'd be
So just
24th
edge of
floor.
your seat excitement all day.
Yeah. We've got swallows swooping by the windows. It's incredible. Barges creeping by at maybe half a kilometer an hour. The tide comes in. So
does the hotel cost more than it normally would, or is it just basically 7 days in a 3-star hotel?
you know, I don't know what the regular price of this place is, but I don't think it's, what was it a night? It's 150. Oh wait, it was 46,000 for 7 nights. Well, let's redo the math.
Okay, well, that's much easier than I don't have to do any math. So about 46,000 baht for 7 nights.
Yeah, and I would say that was on the cheaper end. It seemed to me. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
for 2 people also, but you know, still, that's, you know, we're backpackers really at heart, so that's like, wow, that's a lot of cash. But we used air miles, so hey, it's a wash.
Well, you're here, and it was
we're here.
a fairly. It sounds like it was a fairly painless experience, considering we're in the middle of a global pandemic. It could have been a hell of a lot worse.
Definitely, for sure. And the process was just, you know, you're minding your P's and Q's here. Like, okay, did we do that? Yes. Chalk, you know, scratch that off the list. Read each description of things and how things work, and send it all in, and do it on time, and not take any chances with, well, why don't we just take the free test and see if it shows up in time? You know, none of those chances. Other than that, it's just the anxiety of nervous people like me, like, oh, what if? Well,
Have you? This is an interesting question that I'm curious about, because I can get short-tempered sometimes dealing with red tape and bureaucracy and all that stuff. But have you sort of been cognizant of this as you've jumped through all these hoops and traveled across the world? Like, I think that I would probably be calmer. I would force myself to slow down a little bit, because look, everyone's struggling with this. It sucks for everyone, and everyone's just trying to do their best. So I think it would make me sort of be a bit more patient and forgiving.
It does, if I don't have anywhere to be. If like I've in recent years I travel for work and I have an appointment that I have to get. Like 2 years ago on a trip, all these things were lined up, and an airline was going bankrupt in Africa, and it delayed us like a day. And if it went one more day, everything would topple like dominoes, because
no.
I'd had all these appointments. Like, you're one day here, then you go here in 2 days, and they've got it all booked up and lined up, and it would have been a disaster for me in terms of work. Then nobody wanted to be around me on that trip. I was bad, just freaking out. Back in the easy days of, maybe where do we go to next? I was always like, oh, the flight's delayed. Hey, they're offering miles if you bump off this one and take the next. I was much more easygoing, and still can be like that. And sometimes when it's at its worst, I become the most calm. Like, it's so funny. It becomes funny. It's so bad. It's like you've rolled the odometer and you've gone beyond, you know, absolutely blind with rage to, this is just ridiculous. Oh, of course, something else will happen and it's funnier still. And people are looking at you. Why are you finding this funny? It's
Right.
because this is comical. You couldn't make this up for a movie and it wouldn't be believable, you know?
Louis C.K. does a great bit about that. He's like, ever become so poor that it's funny? Like, oh
Yes,
my God, I'm so poor. Take it. Fine. Take my money. Whatever. I
exactly.
don't care.
It's just like there's nothing left to lose.
Right.
You know, so yeah, I don't know. I can be patient or I can be just kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
I'll
Well,
admit.
man, you guys made it. You're out of pocket a bit, but you
Yeah.
do get to see your mother-in-law, which is important.
And that was really the prime focus. I don't see that we'll be going out a lot or doing a lot of cool things like we would on this trip, but we're here. We'll see friends and maybe get in some trips later in the month.
That's cool. That's cool. Now I want to hear what it's like traveling in Thailand when you were vaccinated. Do you have a vaccine passport of any type?
We've got a card that we got from it's a vaccine card. Totally easy to create one yourself if you wanted, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Which is not a good thing, but people were freaked out about that, and they're debating about whether there should be such a thing in the United States. It's like, guys, I've got my yellow fever
Yeah,
card from 20, 30 years ago. It's like, this is nothing new.
right.
Just it's
Yeah,
it'll be nice to have a month off from that sort of much ado about nothing.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, man, I'm glad you're here and safe, and I'm looking forward to having a socially distanced beer
yeah, sounds good.
when you're out of your
I'll stand
quarantine.
under your balcony and shout up at you. It'll be great.
Cool. I'll get a bucket full of ice and lower it down on a rope.
Excellent.
All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on, giving us some insight into what people might expect when they start to travel again, which hopefully will start to ramp up in the next, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. Vaccines are supposed to get underway at the end of this month, end of May, kind of thing for the Thai public, and
What are
they've
you
got.
getting over here?
Well, I only know one person who's been vaccinated so far personally, and
Oh my
they've got
gosh.
the Sinovac Chinese vaccine.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I mean, it seems like everyone's got its issues. I mean, Brazil just banned the Sputnik vaccine because they found a bunch of other nasty stuff in there.
Microchips.
Free 5G from your blood. I mean, come on. And then there's the blood clot issue, which is
Oh
not really
gosh,
an issue, but
not at all.
it's what a weird couple of years this has been.
Yeah, not encouraging. Got to admit.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on and letting us know. And
Sure thing.
you take care. Try not to get too bored. Give me a call later if you're bored and want to chat about something.
For sure. Sounds good, Greg.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.